Hello and welcome to Planet Oldhammer. In today's episode, we've got a bit of a special for you. We're having a Warhammer 40,000 second edition battle between Tom's Eldar and my orcs. Let's find out what happened. So here's Tom with his initial battle plan.
Having selected an army that consisted of all my troops that would actually be any good against infantry, so leaving out the short-ranged fire dragons, deployment was, to a large extent, a case of picking the best vantage point for the Dark Reapers, so they could see the majority of the stuff on the battlefield, and then deciding what I wanted to do in terms of pushing up towards the middle of the board. I decided that the best approach for this was to use the Avatar and the Striking Scorpions, as they are the best hand-to-hand combat troops, and shoving them up the board would be most likely to get them into combat. So they went in the middle with the Wraith Guard next to them to provide a little bit of fast support, although this is before I realised how short range their Wraith cannons are. And then the Sweeping Hawks went on the left behind some cover. The intention with those being to try and use them to get down the flanks of the army, and then to be able to make effectively strafing runs over the top of the Orc boys mobs, dropping frag grenades as they went. Hopefully that should make a dent in the massed ranks of boys knocking around, but that would all depend on whether or not I could find a decent vantage point to stop them getting shot up, because they're not the most well armoured and tough troops in the world.
So I've been working on this army for most of 2020, and so it was really good to get an opportunity to try it out on the battlefield. So it's mostly an infantry-based army, but I have managed to add a Scorcher to it recently, so at least there's a little bit of mobility there. Another recent addition is the Blood Axe Commandos, and I'm kinda hoping that the infiltration rule will give me a little bit of added surprise, but we'll have to see. So a setup, I focused mainly around the Orc buildings because, well, it just felt right. So the plan is to put my more mobile units, the Scorcher and the War Buggy, on the right, and then I was hoping to wheel them round to outflank the Eldar. To bolster that flank, I also used the infiltration rule, and I put my commandos and the commando captain a bit further up the board. The hope here was that again they'd be able to hit the Eldar in the flanks or in the rear and just cause them a little bit of bother. And that whole flank also was supported by a whole boys mob. Meanwhile, over in the centre, here's my other boys mob, and here also was my war boss and a couple of other characters like the Pain Boy and the Mech. And the plan here was just to use the cover that was available and just take that central ground. So what I was hoping is that the main boys mob here would move forward slowly. I'd have the flanking force come in from the side, and I'd hit them from two directions at once. That was the plan. Okay, so then supporting this central boys mob, I've also got a weird boy with his two minders. Now, I'm a big fan of using Power Vomit. It's a really, really nice psychic power. And so my plan was to just nestle him there right in the corner and then use Power Vomit repeatedly to just try and break down those Eldar. And then finally, on the left flank, I've got my Knobs mob, and the plan here was just again to have them roll up that flank and just cause some bother and some mischief to the Eldar. And that's it really. Not much of a plan, but a plan.
So this was turn one. So if I remember rightly, I won the initiative, didn't I? So I went first.
Yeah.
And my overall plan here was just to kind of move forward, get my vehicles up and around, because that was my heavy weapons. And at this point, because the trouble is with Orcs, you have so many. It was at this point I thought, I don't have enough vehicles, because when you move 4 inches on a really big board, which is, your board's lovely and huge, you realise it doesn't go very far. And then you find with the hordes as well, is they back themselves up, right? So the guys at the back don't go very far because they can't. So you end up just squishing together. And I was very aware, like, there's going to be grenades and stuff and all sorts of nasties thrown at this lot. And I was suddenly very aware, like, they don't move very far, do they? So I went into combat speed just so I could fire. And that was the movement. And then when it went to the shooting phase, I was suddenly very aware of your avatar. Sat there, looking vicious. And I thought, they're going to be in trouble with this. And so that's when I thought to myself, do you know what? I've got all these plasma weapons. I'm going to use them because their long range was 72. So I'm going to use them on full power at 72 because that's when you get your range. And I'm going to try and take out as much as yours as I can in the first bit. And that was my plan initially because they weren't moving. I wasn't getting that distance. I did consider kind of running and charging, but I don't think that would have helped at all. I would have felt completely out in the open at that point. That's what I was thinking. So then I started opening fire, and I got one of your Wraith Guard, didn't I? And I remember you saying at the time, as you rolled for those, that they teetered, didn't they? There was an almost moment of the one next to it starting a cascade of them all disappearing into the warp as they imploded in themselves. And I was rubbing my hands in glee, hoping that would happen.
Oh, it was when you managed to hit the avatar with an overcharged heavy plasma gun, and then roll a 10 for the damage, and then the avatar's life was hanging on a 4-up invulnerable save.
But here's the thing, though, right? Since, you see, this is us not reading the rules. Since then, I've realised that actually plasma weapons don't work on the avatar at all.
Oh, I thought that was just.
No, I'm pretty sure he's completely.
I thought that was just melter.
I think it's plasma as well. You know, someone had said it to me because I'd mentioned this on a forum, and someone had said, "Oh no, it doesn't work on the old avatar." So I think we didn't realise at the time. So if I'd taken out your avatar, I think it would have been an injustice. Although that was the only weapons I had, I think that would have even dented him. Check.
I'm going to check now. Hang on.
Check.
That's what happens when you rearrange your hobby space to have. Avatar. Oh no, you're right. Weapons which are heat-based, which include melter weapons, plasma weapons.
Yeah. So
you're right.
I was screwed immediately. That was the only weapon I think I had in my armory that would have done. Maybe grenades, I don't know. But in fact, the only other thing I was hoping would dent was my what are they called? Mad Boy. I was hoping my Mad Boy.
Oh yes.
Was my other backup plan. But yeah, I threw all my plasma at you initially just to try and dent, because I was getting a bit worried that I wasn't moving very far. Not enough vehicles. I think if you're an Orc player or even an Imperial Guard player, I think if you're a player with a lot of infantry, you need some mechanization. I realise this now. I realise you're playing, you know.
I think you need that with everything.
Yeah.
Having played my son a couple of times, with Eldar versus Space Wolves, that's the same thing. Even with the Space Wolves just being, because it was only 500 points, so it was literally a squad of Grey Hunters and 4 Wolf Guard. They don't move anywhere.
Yeah.
4 inches, you're just not going anywhere.
Exactly, yeah, you don't twig. And the thing is, though, I think when you've got these mobs, these huge mobs, is the ones at the back, they really literally don't move. I think we'll get to it, you'll see by turn 4, you watch the mob on the far right flank, the back of the mob never gets around that building. It's crazy. So I think next time, if we have a rematch, I'm having the big war buggy, where you pile as many miniatures on as you can, and whoever falls off is injured. Right, we'll try.
Oh, battle wagon.
Yes, that's the one.
You can get. I'm fairly sure that you can get the trucks. The Gorka Morka trucks.
Oh yeah.
I'm fairly sure there was a data card done for those.
I think I've got it. For
40k.
Yes, I think I do. I'll have to dig it out. If I do, I'm getting one. You're right.
Yeah.
Well,
I've got one of the plastic war buggies to paint as well over here.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, not war buggy, war bike with the twin linked autocannon.
No, yeah, I've got 2 of them to go. No, see, if I'd had 2 of them on the flank, that would have helped, I think. So anyway, that was turn one. So not a lot happened turn one. I moved a bit. I fired a bit. My plasma gun on the war buggy fired it, yeah. My plasma, I think the only one that didn't fire is I had a plasma gun on the right flank in the mob that never opened fire, and I saved that just in case. Then it went to you. So there we go. Turn one for the Eldar. And this threw me. I didn't expect you to do this. Is you moved your entire Swooping Hawks over to the left. You did for you a right flank move, right?
The ideal with Swooping Hawks is that you fly over the top of, a load of troops, and then you cunningly drop a load of frag grenades on top of them as you fly over. But because they're only Eldar and they're Swooping Hawks, so they haven't got grey armour, they don't, if you leave them out in the open, they don't survive very long. So actually, I suddenly realised that I'd stuck them on my left flank, and on the left on my left flank, there was no terrain for me to hide them behind as I tried to get them down the side of your.
I remember you saying this.
Army.
Set the terrain up with no vehicle, no cover on my side.
And so all the cover is over there on the right, on my right flank.
Mm-hmm.
So thankfully, Swooping Hawks are really fast. I mean, they fly 36, so they can pretty much fly across the entire battlefield in a turn. So me redeploying them wasn't a major issue. But yeah, they just needed to be redeployed over there to try and get round the flank of your army.
Yes, it threw me. That did. I was slightly alarmed that you did that.
But yeah, my plan, because my mission card was taken hold, which is an objective bang in the middle of the battlefield. My plan was, basically get the striking scorpions and the avatar who can handle themselves in close combat to push up the middle of the board and try and grab hold of the objective. And then because I'd forgotten that Wraith Guard have absurdly short-ranged Wraith Cannon, I just advanced them down the hill and then went, oh, they're not actually in range of anybody now, are they? So I should have charged them down the hill.
Yeah. You see, you're stuck with the same thing as me. This 4 inches thing, right? It's like, when you do it, you think, oh, no wonder there's a run. No wonder there's a run option.
Mm.
And it's like, use the run option in the first couple of turns.
Yeah, it's not a problem, if you've got, stuff that's long ranged, like your plasma, your heavy plasma stuff. But when you've got a load of Wraith Guard that you stuck at the back and go, right, these guys have got some destructive weaponry that just displaces you that just has a 50-50 chance of, displacing people into the warp and destroying them. You go, these guys would be great at shooting. And then you don't bother to read the stat on the weapon and realise it's only got a 16-inch range.
See, and I was worried about them. And then when they did get into range, which we'll talk about in a bit, but yeah, they worried me seeing them come down the hill, I must admit.
Yeah, they're properly vicious against vehicles.
Yeah.
Because they do the same thing to a vehicle. You just basically ignore the armour, and on a 50-50. It's a 50-50 chance of displacing it into the warp.
Yeah, some nasties. There were some nasties in this Eldar army, I've got to say. And then obviously, then it was the shooting go, and that's when it got interesting. I think you got some really major hits in. So especially with your Dark Reapers up on the hill. So the first strike was on the Scorcher, which was a frag missile.
I think I crack missiled your Scorcher.
Oh, did you crack missile it? Right.
I think I crack missiled the Scorcher.
Yeah.
Because Dark Reapers are just nasty.
They were well placed as well. You covered the entire battlefield from where they were, so it was they were tricksy.
Yeah, the only thing I was missing with them was a nice little screen. It was a screen of expendable Guardians in front of them so that you couldn't shoot at them.
Yes, because my knobs did have a go at some point.
They're probably nasty, which is why they're so expensive per model. But yeah, managed to crack your Scorcher.
Scorcher was out. That was it then. That was it completely. You took that out. That never even got a shot off in the battle. I think it moved and it was gone. So
it moved and then it went out of control, didn't it? And crashed into the cactus.
It did, which was the next go. And then you'd use frags on my boys in the middle, and if I remember rightly, it bounced. It didn't actually explode. I put it where it landed, but it didn't actually go off.
No, they didn't have a very good first turn, actually.
Well, I think that
they took out the Scorcher, but then they didn't do a huge amount else.
Well, the whole mob was incredibly lucky. Don't you think? Through the entire match, as we go on, it's the luckiest mob in the universe. Until
the number of 6-up saves you made on that mob was impressive.
They were very, very lucky. And then there's one of the commandos was hit as well, and I think that was a shot. It was a shot. It must have been a shot that come across from your because I can't remember rightly. It couldn't have been from your Wraith Guard. It must have come from one of your Swooping Hawks, or was it another crack?
It might have been another. It may have been another missile from the Dark Reapers. I don't remember anything else doing anything.
So yeah, okay, well, so there you go. You see Dark Reapers. You see, so it was three good shots, and okay, one was a dud in the mob in the middle, but the other two took people out, which is, you know, you want more Dark Reapers, mate. That's what you want. As a trial, because neither of us had played these armies before, had we? So it was I've no idea how this is going to play. No idea if this is even right. This mix of troop types, or if they're going to work. It was a nice experiment, actually.
201 points it is for 3 Dark Reapers.
That's like, you know, bear in mind
67 points a model.
I mean, when you think about it, Imperial Guard squad is 100 points. And I'm trying to think, well, Terminator squad's 350, so, you know. So, bearing in mind against Terminator, so that's quite cheap. Squad of Marines is, 350 as well? Is it 300?
Oh, I forget.
I think it's
316 for a squad of Grey Hunters.
Is it? Right, so it must be about 300. I think. I'll check it. Do you know what? I'll just throw this up as a screening as we're talking, and people will see the actual points. Right. So then we went to turn 2 for the Orcs, and there you go. Right. So turn 2, he's out of control. Scorcher flies down to the right and crashes, and they're all dead. Which is very annoying. Never even got a shot off, because I swear to God, it at least would have caused some havoc. I think eventually your Exarch would have just been annihilating everybody. Then what else would you see? It was movement again, but again, you see, compared again to last time, not a lot of movement. Like, they're all moving, but it's a very slow kind of. I really didn't want to. I mean, the commandos moved the most, but I didn't want to kind of have them running out of cover. I felt kind of very exposed, because they don't really have armor, do they, Orcs? It's flak armor, and it's a hit and they're dead. And I knew the only thing I had going for me with this army, after the first round where I threw everything I had at you, I felt the only thing I had going was numbers, and I didn't want to have my numbers whittled away early. That was my, you know, especially after having Dark Reaper in the last, you know what I mean? It was like, okay, these are a bit dangerous. But what happened this round was my knobs opened up on your Dark Reapers. I actually managed to crack one. I actually got one, shot one off the hill, which was pleasing. And then the remaining plasma, which was over on the right flank, again took a shot at your Exarch. Again, at this point, we didn't realise that he was completely immune to it. But it was me, you know, trying again to just do something about it. And then, talking about the movement phase again, the only other thing that happened is I'd moved my Mad Boy comfortably into the little corner there where I thought, right, it's going to be safe. And as soon as I can, I'm just going to do a power vomit. And I didn't do it this round. I don't know why I didn't do it this round. I didn't actually use it this round, the power vomit. It was the next round when I did it. I can't understand why I didn't do anything with him at all, but clearly I didn't. So that was me. Not a lot happening again. And then your turn, this is where it got really interesting. Your swooping hawks just jumped across the entire battlefield and suddenly were behind my lines. And as you jumped, you dropped a hell of a lot of grenades. And I think only one set of these grenades did anything.
Yes.
You did kill some of the orcs, but
Nowhere near as much as I was expecting to do so.
yeah, I mean, I think you dropped 6 lots of grenades, right? And out of the 6, 5 did nothing. Their flak armor actually saved them, which is phenomenal.
They did. I think I had some bad scatter as well.
You did, yes, a bit of bounce.
And then I forgot that you can shoot them you can shoot their guns as well as dropping the grenades.
Yeah.
So I flew them all the way behind you, and then they just stood there and didn't do anything else.
yeah. Which is, again, you see, this is just down to us not playing. Both of us have for ages and just forgetting certain rules. And then I think at this point as well, your Wraith Guard had closed the gap, and this is the first time that you actually sent one of the commandos zipping around the table a bit, and then disappeared into the ether, into the warp.
Yeah, there are a couple of times where I displaced like one sort of twice in random different directions.
Yes.
But yes, in the end, managed to send one off to commune with some demons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Avatar and the Striking Scorpions just carried on moving up.
Yes, you slowly kind of infiltrated all that cover.
Yeah, they're cunningly hiding in the jungle.
It's ready to pounce, essentially.
Yeah.
And then I think the last thing you did is you sent the first one you sent was a frag missile. You sent a frag missile flying into the war buggy, which didn't do anything. And then you said, "Why the hell am I using these?" And then you fired a crack, and the crack hit, and that was it. I think you killed the driver of the war buggy, but you didn't kill the gunner. So the war buggy, whilst stationary, was still operational. So for me, it was like, I've still got a bit of a long range something here to use.
Yeah, and annoyingly, because you hadn't moved it, because it was stationary, it couldn't go out of control either.
No.
So
there was no other damage, right? I'd already stopped it.
Yes.
I forgot I'd done that. Well done for reminding me I'd done that. So yeah, things were interesting. Things were hotting out. So
they were
to turn 3 for the orcs, and this is where it got really, really. I think this is where it completely turned. I mean, it looked bad for you at this point. Obviously, you can tell down the bottom that it got a bit tasty and roasty for the swooping hawks. But I think this was the background for me. So again, the knobs came kind of ambling up the left flank to try and close a bit more. I should have really charged these. I don't know why I didn't. It's crazy I didn't try. They had the heavy armor on. They should have charged around, at least tried to do something with the XR. And next time.
Yeah, I think from memory, they again shot at the Dark Reapers.
They did.
But I think you either missed or I made all the saves.
I think that you made saves. It was just useless. This and the next round were a bit uselessly. I think the orcs kind of lost their mojo at this point. So there was what else we did is I tried to move the commandos a bit forward. But again, you see, this is if you're just going to move 4 inches, you just get bunched up at the back. And again, you can see the orcs on the right flank. They don't look like they've moved much, but they did move. Those guys at the back never rounded that building. It was just having a picnic, really.
Yeah, I think the tactic with some armies like this is very similar to what you have to do in Epic, actually, which is that, thinking, I'll advance and get some shots off. You actually end up just falling between 2 stools. You don't either manage to get forward, but also you don't ever seem to manage to get enough shots off because actually, strange enough, there's never that many of your troops who are actually ever in range.
Exactly.
Or who have line of sight. And so I think sometimes you're just better off just, charging for 1 or 2 turns, and then when you've got yourself into a good position, then you stop moving and fire rather than...
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. I think the trouble is as well is the distance was such that there were modifiers as well on the rolls. So it was just for the orcs, it they were pretty useless, if I'm completely honest. And the only time they weren't useless is you gave me the gift of the swooping hawks, which obviously you'd landed behind me and you hadn't open fired, so they just turned round and opened up. Now, and actually, so I wiped out your squad. What I didn't do is, because they focused on your squad, they didn't focus on your Exarch, and that was a mistake, because my mission, I had the Witch Hunter. Was it Witch Hunter? What's it called? The one where you're looking for the psychic, right? But you had no
It was
psychic.
Witch Hunt, somebody pointed out, somebody again has pointed out afterwards, if you look in a random obscure paragraph in the Orc Codex, orcs can't take.
Oh, really?
Yes.
But
So
there was a secondary. It said if there's no psykers in the opposing force, the secondary objective was to kill any of your characters. So I was, that was what I was doing, you see. So had I focused on your, see, that's why I was trying to shoot your Cain, your God of War, right? But, the Exarch would have also counted, and I don't know why. Again, stupid.
It may have been because the targeting rules are that you can't shoot a character if a squad is closer to. So
you shoot what's
actually the rule, actually, technically speaking, is anything you're supposed to shoot at the nearest visible target. Yep.
I wish
unless it's a vehicle.
And I think that's exactly what they did. So they completely did wipe out your swooping hawks, but by that point, all the others that fired at your Exarch kind of missed. It was just bad dice rolls as well. So it kind of went wrong. And then I did open fire with my plasma gun from the war buggy as well, but that missed and that just hit the cactus. So
it did just melted a cacti.
So you can see there you go, cactus in the middle getting melted. And then I thought, right, fine, it's time to use the power vomit. And so rolled the power vomit, and lo and behold, all went tits up. Which, so, I do believe it backfired, killed his minders, and left the mad boy completely unconscious on the floor, which wasn't part of the plan. And I'd say, despite the success of getting rid of the swooping hawks, that for me was a turning point. I think that was when it's like, things have gone really wrong here. So now I've got literally nothing that can hurt this avatar that's striding across the battlefield. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's going to be a lot of green mush in a minute. which leads me straight onto here we go, you see. So the Eldar start advancing.
Yeah, the Wraith Guard had a good turn against the commandos.
They really did. You were proper in range at this point though, right? So you could just let rip.
Yeah, they were, again, hitting on 2s because they've got ballistic skill of 5, so, they hit on 2s, and then when you've hit, you've got a 50-50 chance of them just being dead.
Yeah.
So,
and didn't they just? Yeah. And I think you broke the squad, didn't you? You hit 50%. So at this point, I rolled. In fact, they didn't break, but I had to do a roll.
Yeah.
And luckily they didn't, but it was close. It was a very close roll. There was only 1 in it.
Yeah, it was the same with the the Dark Reapers took a break test when they lost their 1 model. But and then again the striking Scorpions and the Exarch just moved up, taking advantage of the fact that you were facing the wrong way.
Yes.
Because you turned round to face the to shoot the
swooping hawk diversion.
To shoot the swooping hawks. So the gambit of offering them up as a ritual sacrifice.
Yeah, because it was planned. We totally planned that. I like that.
Completely planned. Completely. I didn't forget to use them properly in any way. No, it was all part of a devious Eldar plan that's, so cunning.
You can imagine that, though. Now I can actually picture that. The swooping hawks flying across, all the orcs looking up, watching them go, and as they're watching them go, the striking Scorpions, charging ahead. I can see it. It's like from a movie. It's like Glory. What's that movie? You remember the end of Glory when they're attacking that fort? It's just like that. And then we go on to turn 4, final turn. It's only 4 rounds. So, and this is so my orcs again still trying to meander around that bit of scenery. I really don't know why I didn't charge them. It's ridiculous. And my boss strides out ahead to have it with your avatar because he's insane. Just insane. He's so narcissistic and sure of himself. He's out there. He's like,
he's an orc. He's an orc war boss. That's what they do. You have to pick the biggest thing in the opposition army and have a Barney with it, don't you? That's the
get the glowy, fiery, pointy-eared git. Let's have him. And there you go. And then you can see an arrow there going the other way, and that's because the mad boy woke up, realised that things had got a bit quiet around where he was, and thought, I'm off.
Oh, hang on a minute, my minders have gone. Leg it!
So, yeah, as I said, that round, him killing his own minders, that was it. That was pivotal, a point where, like, part of my army, like a really important bit for me, was off. And there's your, directly behind him is a huge god of war striding,
You can't blame him for scarping, really.
No, you can't really.
But...
He was a mad boy, intelligent boy, probably. And so that's that round, really. And I did shoot this round. Not that you'd know it, but I did. They all opened fire. And this round, they all just bounced off your armour or missed. And it was an atrocious load of rolls where literally nothing happened. So I think, again, it was like, that didn't really work. So like I said, that round 3 was pivotal. That's where things went wrong. Round 4, utterly now, everything was going utterly wrong. And here we go. This is it. This is your coup de grace.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you thinking?
Yeah.
At this point?
Oh well, yeah. The avatar just couldn't resist turning your war boss into mushroom sushi. So yeah.
It didn't last long, did it? It wasn't one of those epic battles that you see at the end of movies or anything. It was literally...
No. It was the avatar came in, the orc went, oh hello, and yeah, was immediately just ribboned.
I do remember it was quite an impressive amount of damage you inflicted.
It was an impressive amount of damage, given that I rolled horrifically for damage.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's just. I mean, you can see why I was worried about an avatar on Battlefield, because when you've got nothing that can hurt it, it doesn't matter, does it? I mean, it's.
No, I mean, I did. It's one of these things, isn't it? I did spend a couple of turns, trying to keep it hidden behind some cacti, and actually, as you say, with hindsight, I could just have.
Yeah.
I could just have walked it straight up the middle of the battlefield, not in any cover whatsoever, and just
mincemeating through everything.
Just got stuck in.
Absolutely. I think next time if we ever do a rematch, we should do that. I'm just going to charge in. You just charge in. Let's see what happens. I think that would be a really interesting experiment. I think this was, for me, it was very tentative. I was being very tentative, very safe, and it didn't work. It wasn't what you should do with orcs.
No, I think it's a thing with a lot of GW games. Actually, it doesn't pay to be cagey. You just need to make a plan, and then get stuck in as fast as you can.
Yeah, I totally agree. Actually, get plowed in. Yeah,
you either hang around at the back and shoot, because that's your mission or your objective, or you just have to get stuck in. Trying to hang back for a couple of turns and then get stuck in just never does it. Never seems to work.
But you had I'll tell you what, you had a good range of troops that did that for you, though. I think the mix you had worked well, actually, as a whole army. They all complemented each other really well. I think for me, for the orcs, definitely need more vehicles. There's not enough.
Yeah, mobility is.
Yeah.
Mobility is it's really useful.
It's totally utterly key. And the other thing I think I made a mistake with is his infiltration rule, which I forgot to mention, but is the commandos obviously had used the infiltration rule to start well ahead, but I could have put them up your right flank, on your left flank there. And you know what I mean? I could have had them right behind you, causing you bother immediately. I don't know why I didn't. That was stupid. So yeah, next time I'm probably going to use that infiltration rule, you know, for some benefit. Again, I was playing too safe. So next time, gloves are off, I think.
Yeah, nothing ever, you know, nothing lasts long in, you know, 40k or epic. If you leave it out somewhere, it'll get picked off. But it'll get picked off anyway. If it's not getting picked off, it's not doing anything.
Exactly.
And if it's not doing anything, it's actually of no benefit to you, you know.
To get it out your army. Yeah. Well, cheers, buddy. That was
no
fun.
worries.
And thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Right, so there we are, and that's the end of the 2nd edition battle. I'd like to say big thanks to Tom for coming along, supplying the board, which is absolutely one of the best boards I've ever played on. Supplying all the scenery, especially 2nd edition orc buildings, which are phenomenal. Also, a big thank you to all the members of the Oldhammer groups on Facebook. Thanks for putting up your own pictures of Bring Out Your Lead. And finally, a huge thank you to the Wargames Foundry for hosting Bring Out Your Lead. This year was absolutely brilliant, but it's a 3-day festival of Oldhammer gorgeousness, and if you're into Oldhammer as much as I am, I can't recommend it enough. So if you'd like to see more battles like this, then please subscribe. There'll be more coming in the future. And until next time, thanks for watching.